Most of the time, I am encouraging people to feel their feelings and to share their feelings. But there are some instances where I would actually encourage you to do the opposite, and that's what I want to talk about today. I'm Stacy Rocklein, and I help people communicate more clearly for less conflict and more connection. So have you ever had your feelings hurt by somebody and you had the courage to go tell them about it because you cared about the relationship, and then you ended up like having to hear all about their feelings? You know, they kind of take over the conversation, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, you're caregiving them and we're talking about their feelings. And it's not great for connection. You kind of feel like, what just happened? And that's one of those cases where it's important that the other person hear us and not crowd out the situation with their own feelings. When I have clients who are going through a really intense grieving period, something that I've heard over and over is one of the hardest parts of that process is when people come and they overwhelm them with their own feelings of grief and their own sadness. And it's just too much for the person who has had to suffer the loss in the biggest way to spend their time caring for the other person's feelings. So it's really important that we realize that it isn't that our feelings aren't important, it's that our feelings aren't now important. The message that we send to somebody when we start talking about our own feelings, when they, were brave enough to come to us and tell us about theirs, are that I don't hear you, I don't see you, or I am more important than what you're feeling right now. And you can imagine that this is not very good for connections in our relationships. So what we can do is, it's not that we have to bury, it's not that we have to stuff, it's all, we just have to shelve for a little while, right? One of the things that we can do is leave that moment to them, allow them to have their feelings in that moment, so that they feel like you are seeing them and you are hearing them and you're taking that into your heart. And then come back to it another time when you have that like space that you've opened up for them. They're more receptive to hearing your feelings because you've like created a closer connection. So come back later and share your feelings, but not in that moment. Or like in the case I gave you of, somebody who's grieving, maybe your grief is better shared with somebody else in your life where you can talk about your feelings. It may not be the person who actually has gone through that loss. So it's really important that we always think about connection first, that's like the primary thing that we focus on. We can get trapped in thinking that like being right is the most important thing, or being the focal point is the most important thing. But really, you sometimes can't have connection and that at the same time. And in relationships, connection is far more important. And that can just mean that it's not your turn. This might be a situation where you've got to shelve it because you love and care for someone else very much. Thank you for watching. Hopefully that will help you create some more connection and closer relationships in your life. Mwah.